Live from the KWQC studio, this is TV6 News at 4.
Now at 4, it's going to be a big night. The Iowa caucuses are almost underway. We'll have live reports from Des Moines and local precinct locations on both sides of the aisle. And how a Quad City community is honoring a firefighter who lost her battle with lung disease. First at 4, the Iowa caucuses are finally here. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Marcia Lenz. We have special team coverage as voters get ready for the caucuses tonight. People from across the country and around the world are converging in Des Moines, from veteran journalists to curious high school students. TV6's David Nelson is in Des Moines at the Iowa Event Center, where the results of tonight's caucuses will be announced. Hi, David.
Hi again, Marcia. This is the large media hub that they've set up for you here, and we'll widen out a little bit to give you just a small view of where we are. Those large screens behind me, those are where the results are going to be displayed tonight as they start to come in. Of course, we're going to bring them to you right away. We've talked about the number of journalists here, many of them foreign journalists, and it's really been interesting speaking with them today and eavesdropping a bit on their broadcasts and getting their take on it. And I've heard more than just a couple marvel at the way the Iowa caucuses happen. I heard one crew from out of the country. They've been following a number of candidates around, and they marvel at how these candidates, one of whom may be the next president, will travel around from location to location, oftentimes very small towns, and they will meet face to face with voters who can come up to them, shake their hand, ask them questions directly, and oftentimes those visits will happen more than once, as candidates will go back again and again, and they really talk about that as being something that's unique to them. And I spoke this morning with a group of students who flew here all the way from Massachusetts to Des Moines just so they could be a part of the caucus process today and see how it works face to face. So tonight could be very close. We're going to be following the latest results, and we'll bring them to you as soon as they come in. Back to you.
A reminder that we are special. Thanks, David. The latest poll from Real Clear Politics shows not much has changed from last week's poll. Bernie Sanders still leads the pack, with Joe Biden, Pete Buttigieg, and Elizabeth Warren trailing, but not far behind. The Iowa caucuses are the first nominating contest in the 2020 Democratic presidential primary. Candidates have campaigned hard in the state, and they're making one last big push in the hours leading up to the caucuses. CNN's Jeff Zeleny reports.
If the turnout is high, we're going to win. So our job together is to create the highest turnout in the history of the Iowa caucus. Thank you all very much.
Bernie Sanders and his Democratic rivals making one final lap around Iowa.
Oh, we got the whole group here. You ready?
Rallying the faithful and working feverishly to convert the undecided in their closing arguments to voters.
You let only a certain bunch of us out of the gate. We don't all get through the gate. We don't all get to move beyond where we've been. And you know, it really matters. It really matters what you do.
Joe Biden downplaying his chances of winning, telling supporters on Sunday he believes the race is a toss-up as the voting finally begins tonight in the Democratic nominating contest. On an unseasonably warm winter day, voters lining up to catch one more glimpse of the candidates as they deliver their own distinctive sales pitches on electability.
We've got to make absolutely sure that we win in November. So much depends on it.
Our number one job is to beat Donald Trump. Women win. Let's get this done.
One of your jobs is to look at how we're going to win in the general. That is your job.
But before crowning a nominee for the general election, voters must decide whether to choose a progressive path.
Healthcare is a human right, not a privilege.
Or more of a pragmatic one.
Mayors get things done.
The outcome of the Iowa caucuses will start, but hardly finish that debate. Many voters have been slow to decide and are still open to changing their minds as they keep searching to find the strongest candidate to challenge President Trump.
Beat Trump. Absolutely. I'm tired of him. I'm tired of his lies.
Val Dudley listened to her top choices one last time on Sunday, saying she's still torn.
Amy and Pete.
Is it a gut feeling at the end of the day, or how do you make up your mind?
I think it is kind of a gut feeling.
She believes Sanders is closing strong and said that concerns her.
I'd support Bernie if he was our candidate. However, I think he's a little wild. I think he's a little too out there to get some of the undecided people.
Well, the caucuses will give top-performing candidates a boost ahead of next week's New Hampshire primary. We have crews at local precincts as they prepare for tonight. TV6's Montse Ricosa is at Central Middle School in DeWitt, where local Democrats will be caucusing in just a few hours. Montse, there are some changes to make note of this time around.
Marcia, when you go to caucus, right, like you said, we're at the Central DeWitt. When you go into caucus, you will go into a big room like a gym, and each candidate will have a location that you can go to. So you will go to your preferred candidate's location, and then everybody will be counted. If your candidate gets under 15% of the total votes, they're considered unviable. This is where the card comes in. This is something that's completely new. When that card comes in, you will mark your first preferred candidate, and if your candidate is unviable, gets under 15% of the total vote, you will mark your second candidate that you would like. This is when you can listen to other caucus goers and pick another one if you are still unsure, or you could just leave the caucus entirely and you will still get that first person marked down. This is so that Iowa Democrats can be more transparent in showing the first and final alignment. The final alignment is the final count once the unviable candidates are out and everybody is settled in, making sure that every candidate has this certain amount over 15%. After that, they will be deciding from the final alignment the amount of state delegates that will go into the Democratic nominee. So if you choose to not come, this will be affecting your delegates. And again, this will be 15% is the amount that your candidate will need. We're expecting more people to arrive shortly as the caucus starts at 7. Live in DeWitt, I'm Montse Ricosa. Back to you.
Thanks, Montse. An important update for Democratic caucus goers in Bettendorf. The location for Precinct B52 is changing from the Waterfront Convention Center. It will now be held at the Iowa Casino. Scott County Democrats say they moved just that precinct to the casino due to an anticipated increase in turnout. Continuing our team coverage now, at some locations, both Republicans and Democrats are gathering for tonight's caucus. TV6's Angela Rose is at one of those locations. She's at Davenport West High School with more on how Republicans will be choosing their pick for president. Angela?
Yes, good afternoon, Marcia. I'm outside Davenport's West High School where the kids actually just got out of school. But later this evening, Republicans and Democrats will be showing up here to kick off the Iowa Caucus. I'll be talking to Republicans about how this process will work for them, considering we do have a Republican president right now. I do know that it will be a more simple one for Republicans versus the Democrats. I'll explain why later tonight. For now, live in Davenport, Angela Rose. I'll send it back to you, Marcia.
All right, thanks, Angela. If you do plan to caucus today, you must be in line before 7 p.m. And a reminder, you can find the latest updates and alerts and information you need to participate on our news app or by visiting kwqc.com. All right, taking a live look outside now. Clouds are taking over the skies after another mild day. Let's check in with meteorologist Eric Maitland for the first alert forecast. Hi, Eric.
Hi, Marcia. Yeah, you know, as a matter of fact, as you see those clouds from the sky view perspective, it's this band of clouds right here, this bright white band of clouds, that will be overspreading the area as we go through the evening. And eventually we could squeeze out a little bit of drizzle from those clouds, which later tonight could become some very isolated freezing drizzle and then eventually mix with a few snowflakes. As we go through the evening, you can see those clouds progressing through the area. A little bit of snow off to our south and west, which will eventually make it into the area, but it's not going to be lasting too long into our Tuesday. It looks like even by rush hour, or the morning rush, any freezing drizzle or snowflakes would likely be out of here. Temperature-wise, we're starting off the evening in the low 40s right now, but we'll find those temperatures dropping to the upper 30s by 8 o'clock, upper 20s by morning time, and it will be a colder day tomorrow. High temperatures only in the low to mid 30s at best, and it will be a little bit breezy, so those wind chills will be down into the 20s, even the teens as we go through our Tuesday.
Thanks, Eric. A TV6 update now. Jury selection began in the trial of a man charged in the 2018 death of a 5-year-old boy in Davenport. Trey Henderson is charged with first-degree murder and child endangerment resulting in death. Police say that on April 27th, 5-year-old Jashawn Bussell was choking and unresponsive. His mother called 911 and the boy was taken to University hospitals in Iowa City. He died 3 days later. The autopsy showed he died from blunt force injuries to the head. The boy's mother was also charged in connection with the case. She pleaded guilty last month and also agreed to testify during Henderson's trial. Tonight, firefighters and other first responders are honoring a 20-year-old Riverdale firefighter who passed away over the weekend. Annalise Chapman had cystic fibrosis and passed away Sunday after complications from a lung transplant. We first told you about her in February as she was waiting for her transplant. Then in March, she had the surgery, and we checked back with her in June as she continued down her road to recovery. The fire department says she became sick in December. The department released a statement saying in part, firefighter Chapman will always and forever be a firefighter and part of the Riverdale Fire Department family. The department will be escorting her back home from Iowa City tonight at 7. Still to come at 4, the U.S. is upping its response to the coronavirus outbreak. Hear from the Secretary of State on the country's latest efforts.